Hi everyone. We're arguing for the pro group that our proposition is the disabled people's movement emphasis on access to paid work has paradoxically undermined its efforts to secure the dignity, inclusion, and full participation of all disabled people. So our group has Kayla, Bramlin, Reese, and me, Paulina. So the view that disability is a socially created category derived from labor relations, a product of exploitative economic structure of capitalist society, one which creates and then oppresses the so-called disabled body as one of the conditions that allow the capitalist class to accumulate wealth. Seeing in this light, the disability is an aspect of the central contradiction of capitalism. And disability politics that do not accept this are at best fundamentally flawed strategies to reform, or worse, form of bourgeoisie ideology that prevent this from being seen. This is a quote from Russell and Moroda and Capitalism and Disability. So we're arguing that the disability people's movement does emphasize of access to paid work has undermined its efforts to secure dignity and inclusion of full participation of disabled people. And one argument is that the emphasis of paid work that consider disabled people who can access work to be less valuable as human beings, while some of the people who can access work are they the more valuable ones as human beings. It creates a hierarchical way of viewing disabled people, so it's not all inclusion. Another point is that this paid work necessarily means dignified and inclusive work, not just access to paid work, but what kind of work and what about disabled people who genuinely can work because of their disability. Well, considers some disabled artists are not necessarily making a wage, but they're still working. So what about them? Meaningful work isn't necessarily waged. Like them, disabled artists and disabled mothers who don't take care of the child or volunteering in the community. If you consider Eliza in the video in week one, does the emphasis on paid work exclude those from whom meaningful work might be unpaid or unsteadily paid? One of the quote is that it's from Sunny Taylor. It said, "Working and money is your own work." Capitalism has its roots in the idea of individuals' work being intrinsically linked to their production values. It shows that the production value of a person is linked to an individual worth in society, which is socially constructed. Another argument is that does pay work necessarily means equal pay? Think of the Rethinking Disability Experience, the video in week one with Barry. Think of he worked at a shelter workshop. Although they are making a wage, it is certainly not equal pay. And think about all the abuse that the staff has, being given poor jobs with no pay. And he tried to let the government know, but they didn't do anything. So the impact of these experiences cannot be erased. Another point is that does having access to paid work means that a disabled person who needs extra funds to support someone who might still need to support them in their transportation and their medication or their life-saving surgeries, and that costs money too. So what if someone who does not have access to paid work and can't pay for their medical bills? What about that? And also, does access to paid work ensure full inclusion, or does it contribute to a hierarchy of good disabled people as for those who can't even hold a paying job? Are they less worthy? Are they less worth in society than the most people disabled disabled people who can't have access to paid jobs, but they work more. So the emphasis of paid work doesn't necessarily change the working environment either, and challenge ableism in conventional workplaces, even if they hire a disabled person. Access to paid work may seem like it's giving disabled people the rights and independence that they seek, but rather this undermines them and puts them in question situations at work. Since paid work is viewed as a capitalist idea, making money is your contribution to society, then what about some disabled people who has difficulty accessing work and those who can't work because of their disabled? Disabled people's rights movement tend to generalize all people with disability, thus creating a hegemonic definition of disabled people and their needs, who doesn't allow acknowledge diversity between the members of other social identities, such as women, black, racialized, colonized, queer, trans, class differences, or difference in disabilities. Disability rights often expect to be enacted in a governmental institution. So in doing so, that it doesn't leave too much room for considering those who have the same too much room for considering that those the same institution are doing the oppression as stating it. So that means it's like you're giving them the rights, but you're making the rules, not the other person who are making the rules. So maintain an equal power relation between the two and keeping people with disability in a disempowered position, implying that agency is not part of the disabled people, but as both lives as they're all oppressed in every situation. So think about the ODSP drawbacks too. They're the disabled people. They earn supposedly disabled people earn unlivable wages, but they're still considered to be too much for ODSP because they aren't allowed to save much money, because what they earn, they will lose their ODSP because they're earning the limit is set a very low limit to the folks who have assets. That's those who have higher wages cannot claim ODSP. So that's another obstacle that they're facing. As Mia Mingus put it, with disability justice, we want to move away from the myth of independence that everyone can and should be able to do everything on their own. I'm not fighting for independence as much as disability rights movement rally behind. I'm fighting for interdependence that embrace needs to tell the truth. No one does it on their own, and the myth of independence is just a myth.